Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, a.k.a. the Football History Dude, and I'm here to help you finish your Christmas shopping list and let everyone else over there stiff-arm their competition while trying to fight off that tryptophan on Turkey Night. Now, what we did was we partnered with Rochester Sports Autographs, the largest JSA authenticated autograph distributor in the United States, where you can get up to 75% off over 30,000 autographed sports collectibles during this holiday season. They have something for everyone. But how is RSA able to offer such great deals on JSA authentication, you ask? Well, they do this by making deals directly with athletes so there are no extra markups, and they choose to then pass that savings on to you, the customer. Now, all orders from Rochester Sports Autographs are top quality and shipped to your door with top authentication and a money-back guarantee. But hurry up because customers are so stark raving mad for RSA that memorabilia sells out daily. All you have to do is head over to shoprsa.com/SHN. Again, that's shoprsa.com/SHN. So don't wait to bring home your favorites and own a piece of sports history for you and the loved ones on your shopping list this holiday season.
Time to have our friend Tim Brown join us today for some football archaeology on one of the great Heisman winners of the 1930s and his special season and special stature. Coming up in just a moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with pigskindispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of pigskindispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pig Pen, your portal to positive football history. And as we try to do every Tuesday, we like to go on a little archaeological expedition. And we go to the man that has the website, Football Archaeology, Timothy Brown. Tim, welcome back to the Pig Pen.
Hey, Darren. Thank you. Appreciate having me again. Looking forward to digging into a few things tonight.
Digging is right. We were, interested. We were talking about this before we came on about one of your tidbits. Some of these, they're all stimulating, but some really catch my eye and I'd love to hear a little bit more on. And this one came from later in October, and it's called Standing Tall for the Heisman on October 23rd on footballarchaeology.com. I was hoping maybe you could say a few words about that subject matter.
Yeah, happy to. So the Standing Tall is, it's basically about a guy named Davey O'Brien, who was a Heisman Trophy winner in 1938. But he was 5'7". And, so we all know, we all went to high school or grade school or whatever with some guy who was too short, but he was a heck of an athlete. And, just the guy was a stud, but eventually he kind of met his limits athletically, in terms of competing against, bigger players. And even in high school, a lot of guys that size can get away with things. And here and there, we've got an NBA or an NFL player who does it. But back then it was a little bit more common, and so Davey O'Brien was, like I said, he was 5'7", grew up in Dallas, and he succeeded Sammy Baugh as the quarterback or the center of the Dutch Myers TU spread offense. So, we like to think the spread is this brand new shiny thing that all these smart, modern people created, but back in the 30s, in the late 30s, Dutch Myers was running offense that had two basic formations. One had a single back, the double wing, and two double split ends. So just think about that. A single back, double wings, and two split ends, right? So that looks like a lot of people's spreads nowadays. He also ran, he didn't call it this, but he ran an empty formation with trips on one side and a wing and split on the other. So, and he ran the ball out of his offense a lot. So, I mean, this ran it especially out of the one back formation. So, I mean, it's just the idea that these guys, TCU was doing things well before anybody else in terms of just bringing modern spread horizontal concepts to football. So you get this guy, Davey O'Brien, takes over for Sammy Baugh, who's a stud. And, it's back in single platoon football. So O'Brien played both ways. He wasn't just this little, dinky quarterback that, just ran out there and was protected against being tackled hard and stuff like that. He was a player. He was a blocking back. He punted. He was their primary punter. And so I'm going to say this next thing with a little bit of caution. As a senior, he set the passing yardage in a season record, NCAA record. He also set the record for combined rushing and passing by an individual in a season. Now, that was a 1938 season. And the NCAA only restarted tracking statistics in 1937. So, it wasn't, okay, but nevertheless, I mean, the point really is that what he was doing so far ahead of almost anybody else, right? And so, and just one little side note to the statistics thing. The statistics wasn't, it wasn't like the NCAA did this. It was a separate guy named Homer, who created this entity called the American Football Statistical Bureau, and then 22 years later sold it to the NCAA. And so all of the football records of the NCAA were actually for the first 22 years were compiled by the separate company. So his company started in 37, and so if you look at any NCAA record, they start in 1937, from this guy's records. Anyways, Davey O'Brien was a stud. So he finishes his senior year winning a national championship. He's the Maxwell and Heisman Trophy winner. He then gets drafted by the NFL. The Giants take him number 4 in the 39 draft. He leads the NFL in passing yardage as a rookie, though they only won one game. Comes back as a second-year player. Again, has a great season. They only win one game. And then he says, I'm done. And he quits pro football, becomes an FBI agent, and he does that for like 10 years and goes into various business adventures, So anyway, it's just kind of an interesting thing. There are very few NFL players who leave today to become FBI agents, right? Especially when you just led the league in passing.
Right.
But, different times, different place, and
different pay scale.
Yeah, different pay scale. But well, here's another thing about it. To that point, he was the 4th Heisman Trophy winner, but he was the first one to sign with the NFL. The first 3 didn't even bother.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Huh.
They were coming from University of Chicago and 2 guys from Yale, and they were like, "Hey, I don't need this NFL thing. I've got better, business opportunities." And so, none of the first, neither, none, whatever of the first 3 hires played in the NFL.
Yeah, you really have to go back and really admire people that played professional football, especially those first 5 or 6 decades, because they really did it for the love of the game and the love of the competition. They weren't getting rich by doing it. I think almost all of them had to have a regular job in the off season and things like that. And it's just, it's an amazing thing to think about that, where today, that's their whole life, and they're set for life after playing a couple years. And amazing.
I would say, they did make significant money compared to the average worker, right? And for some of them, it was just like today. I mean, I get in arguments, or I got in a recent argument or spat with some CFL fans about the talent levels, right, between the NFL and CFL. And, the CFL has, tremendous players. I mean, and they're gifted athletes, but in my mind, they're just not anywhere near NFL caliber. I mean, yeah, some of them are bottom end NFL players, and that's fine. But the point is that even in the CFL, they can make more money playing as a 24, 25-year-old young man in the CFL compared to getting out of school and whatever, becoming an underwriter or, whatever it is you do when you leave school, right? Now, if they were chemical engineering majors or something, yeah, they can make more money doing that. But, not many of those are playing football.
Yeah. So, I think that's a pretty good parallel. I didn't even think of that, maybe not even the CFL, but maybe some of these other leagues that are coming up, like the XFL and the spring league, and now the USFL. Some of those, those guys aren't making much at all compared to their peers in the bigger leagues, like the NFL and the CFL, but they're doing enough to make a living and get by. And their hope is to advance into the NFL. And I'm sure that's probably the goal.
And I think that's it. It's the hope. It's keeping the hope alive. Right. And then there's kids, probably more like D3 sort of kids, but there's a decent number of American kids now who are heading over to Europe and playing. But it's more of a cultural experience, and they're not making big money. I mean, literally they're making, I know one kid who played in the NFL or in Europe last year, making like $800, $1,000 a game, but he got into an NFL camp this year, and got cut, but he made a camp. And so, but I think for guys like that, it's more like, yeah, I got a chance to play in Austria or live in Finland for 6 months or something. It's a life experience rather than a money grab,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely interesting lifestyle. And when you can do the thing you love and travel, hey, why not do it when you're a young person?
Any day.
Right.
Yeah, and good for them. Good for them. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
I don't care what level you're playing. If you're still taking a shot at it, have at it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
good for you.
Yeah, love to hear that. All right. Well, Tim, why don't we take this opportunity right now to, just like this was a tidbit on Davey O'Brien, you have some very interesting things coming out each and every day, sometimes multiples in a day. And why don't you share with folks how they can get on your list to get this information?
Yeah. So, my site is footballarchaeology.com. You can go on there, subscribe. And what that means is you'll get an email 7:00 every day, and then some other days you'll get more than one. But basically, you'll get at least a daily email that provides some information. And if not there, then you can. You can always visit the site just randomly, but you can also follow me on Twitter at Football Archaeology, and so however you consume information, however you prefer to view it, have at it. More than happy to have people check it out.
All right. Well, Tim Brown, Football Archaeology, thank you once again for joining us this week and talking about some more great football history and some of these great things from the past that maybe are overlooked, but we're glad that you're researching them and bringing them to our attention. And we'll love to talk to you again next week.
Very good. Look forward to it, sir.
That's all the football history we have today, folks. Join us back tomorrow for more of your football history. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our broadcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com. Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, aka the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.